Okay, I'm having like super deja vu. Like I feel like I have made this video before, but I know I haven't. Like, February wrap up for 2024. I don't actually think I've made it before, but I'm just experiencing a very weird sensation of having said all of these things before. So I'm going to start this video over. So hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Sarah. This channel is called Belle's Library, and I talk about books, and that's about it. I wanted to share with you guys my February 2024 wrap up, the things that I read. I read 9 books in February, and it was kind of a mediocre month compared to January. I don't know. I felt like I got off to a good start for January, but February is just kind of tanked, and then now I'm into March, and I've only read like 200 pages of one book, so I'm feeling kind of down, guys, I have to say. I think that it's because I joined March of the Mammoths, and so I'm reading this one book that's like 800 pages, and I love it. I'm reading the London. You guys were wondering. I told you guys I'd tell you in this video. I did choose London by Peter Ackroyd, but I think that I'm like trying to finish it so fast so I can move on to other things, so I can get more than one book read this month, that I'm not enjoying it as much as I would if I would take my time. So I'm kind of thinking I might put it away for a little bit tonight. Like I said, I'm probably 180-ish pages in, and it's only, it's not even the first week of March is over yet, right? So I have plenty of time to finish this book. I think I'm going to put it away for a little bit and read something a little more fast moving. I don't know. I'm loving the London book. I am, but I don't know. I'm in the mood for something else right now. Maybe something fiction, just to kind of get me out of what seems to be a rut. And it could be just that I'm super busy too. I homeschool, and we started back to school last week after taking a lot of time off for various things. So anyway, if you see me looking over here, I keep looking at my laptop because I just have a hard time even remembering some of these things, because like I said, February wasn't a super phenomenal reading month for me. But let's go ahead and go through the list. So the first one is Days at the Murasaki Bookshop by Satoshi Yagasawa. Now this book was translated from the Japanese. I'm just gonna tell you flat out, this book does not have much of a plot, and so it's kind of hard for me to tell you about it because I give it a 1 star. I did not enjoy it. I thought that it was like not really a plot, not really anything going on at all, no character development. Like, I just did not enjoy this at all. And so, but basically there's this girl, Takako, and her boyfriend is unfaithful to her, and so she needs a change, and she ends up getting invited to go and run her uncle's bookshop in another part of the area. And so she goes there, and the blurb and all the stuff says that it's supposed to be this life-changing thing where all of these things happen, and she is whatever, just moves on with her life and has these awesome things happen because of her experience at this bookshop. But the thing is like, we don't see really any of that happening at all. It's just supposed to happen, and you're supposed to imagine it, I guess. I don't really know. I don't know what to say, because there's just nothing. At times I thought that maybe the book was just translated bad. Maybe this award-winning story was really fantastic in Japanese, because in Japan, I guess this book was actually made into a film. Like, it won awards in Japan. And so I thought, well, maybe it's just a bad, translation or something, but really the story is just bad. And I'm a sucker for a book about a bookshop. And that's why I picked this one up. But, and I went to read books from other cultures and all these things, but this is just not a thing. No story, no plot, no character development at all. This is like the flattest character that I have encountered in a really long time. And then there's just this whole other gross storyline where her uncle is just like really creepily attached to her, kind of, and even her aunt. It's just weird, guys. It's really a weird little story. My Goodreads review on this is horrible. I actually hope nobody reads it because I was really mean. All right, moving on. The next book in line was Breathing Lessons by Ann Tyler. This one I gave a 3 star. Did I say I gave the other one a 1 star? I'm sure you can probably assume that, but this one, 3 star. I had talked in a previous video about this book, Breathing Lessons, and how years ago, like 18 years ago, I don't even know, I think it was 2007, that I had lost a baby. But when I was in the hospital, like going through that experience, this is the book that I was reading. And so I had thought that I had put the book away and stopped reading it and, whatever. I never picked it back up again. But now that I have read it, I realize, no, I actually did finish the book. I think it was just a traumatic experience and I forgot that I had finished the book. I forgot how it ended, right? So this story all takes place in the matter of a few hours, actually, in one day. This couple, they've been married for a while, and they go on a road trip to go to a funeral that, her friend's husband passed away. And so they are on this trip, and the whole way there, when I read this in 2007, like thinking back on it, right before I read this time, I was thinking about how it was this couple that kind of like connected over the trip, and they had these long, deep discussions about important things. And when I read it again, it's not what I thought it was. It's actually, this woman is really irritating and just really obnoxious, and she just really never shuts up, and she gets her nose into everybody's business all the time. And so she has burnt bridges with her friends, with her kids. Even her husband seems to just kind of tolerate her sometimes. Just because she's really obnoxious. And the other funny thing is I can remember thinking, when I picked this up, that the couple was older. Well, when I started reading it, they're 40, so yeah. So anyway, there are parts that are funny. Sometimes the train of thought of this woman is just hilarious, and things that I have thought too. But it's just kind of a story about that comfortable sameness that just kind of happens when you live with somebody for a really long time. The thing that kind of bugged me is that the story features a bunch of little conflicts and some big conflicts, but nothing is really resolved in the end. The end of the story is the end of the day, and it's they just go to bed and move on with life. There's no real development. We're really just seeing a little picture, a little peek into someone's day. With no change or even, personal commitment to change. So, I don't know. When I read it in 2007, I thought it was kind of cute and endearing. Maggie and Ira, that's the couple. They were my parents' ages. I thought about how cute it would be to be old someday. This time around, they're just 4 and 6 years older than my own husband and I. So obviously, it struck terror in me, really. And I realized how, terrified I am of becoming uninteresting to my husband or just the people around me, because that's kind of what was going on with Maggie. And I got to thinking, was she ever interesting? And that's a horrible thing. Everybody has their beautiful parts, right? But this woman is really annoying. And I don't think, honestly, if she was in my life, that I would think that she was a super interesting person. I think I would probably try to avoid her. And so thinking on that, to know that you are a person who people try to avoid, and wondering if, you ever really matter 100% to someone, if you're ever someone's number one. I don't know. It's just an interesting thought. It seems like her family never actually found her interesting, but she was interesting to herself. That is evident. So I got to thinking, well, maybe I'm not as interesting as I think I am. So that's kind of scary, right? So anyway, there's lots of thoughts here with this book. I want my life to matter, and reading this just kind of scared me a little bit. But I hope that I don't get curious and read this book again anytime soon, because it really bummed me out, and it's not as awesome of a story as I thought it was, remembered it to be, or wanted it to be. But 3 stars for Breathing Lessons by Ann Tyler. The next one that I read was The Secrets of Heartwood Hall, and this one I also gave, I gave this one 2 stars. Okay, this story, it upset me so bad. This story was a 5-star read for me, clear up until almost the end, when the secrets are revealed, and then I was like, wait, what is happening? What is going on? You have wrecked this whole story. She took a completely different turn than I wanted her to, or I thought she would, or that made sense to me, or that even seemed to fit with the time period or the characters or anything. She just went totally, I don't know, out there. She just veered off. Crazy town. I was just, yeah. very upset about the turn that this book took. But like I said, up until then, 5-star, like super well written, great, wording, great, I don't know, development of people and characters on the story. I was so engrossed. Katie Lumsden is the author of this. She has a channel, Books and Things, and that's where I got the idea. That's where I got the recommendation for this book. Excellent storytelling, flawless writing style. It felt like the door slammed me in the face when she started to reveal the actual secrets of this novel. It was not where I thought it was going at all, and I felt like it took a super 21st century feminist direction when it didn't have to. She could have told the same story generally in the same way without making her character relevant to the 21st century. And I can't go into it, right, because spoilers, but it was not so much, I don't know, it's not so much the details as it is just the overall, all of a sudden we weren't living in the 19th century anymore. I just think that she really bombed when it came to making this fluid, time appropriate, because she tried to put 21st century sensibilities into a 19th century character, and it did not work. I feel like the main character just completely changed in the span of minutes. The whole tone of the story was just turned on its head. The whole thing, it just really broke my heart, and I was just like bummed out because I just feel like she ruined it. So that was harsh, but that's what I wrote. I'm just kind of summarizing my Goodreads. My Goodreads is much more harsh than my actual, if I was just talking to you with a book in my hand. So, I don't know. I don't even know what to do with that. I need to tone it down a little, I guess. I read 2 Babysitter's Club books with my daughters. So my 2 youngest daughters are really into the Babysitter's Club, like the ones that we read when we were kids, if you were in my age group. And so this month, for February, I read one with each of them, a Babysitter's Club mystery. So that was fun. Another book that I have talked about in the past, and that has kind of some I don't know, had some history, I guess, with me, was The Pearl by John Steinbeck. So that is one that I read. The book probably deserves more than the 3 stars that I gave to it, but I just don't really want to give it any stars at all. It's a story that just hits too close to home. It really just kind of summons up childhood hurts for me, negative feelings about people in my life who can no longer do anything about any of that. I read the book and I'm glad I read it, but I don't know if I will read it again for a very long time. So basically the story is this guy, Kino, he thinks he has a pearl of great price. He has found this pearl and it's going to make him rich. And other people say that it's worthless. Many others are influenced by those who say that it's worthless. And so they jump on the bandwagon and they are, not faithful to their friend Kino. Lesson to be learned here. Don't let others put a value on your treasure. And so he ends up, long story short, or short story short, it destroys his life. He chases after riches and it destroys him. It destroys and takes away the most precious things. One person can choose to win the lottery and just have fun with it and give a bunch of it away and just have a ball, whatever, and love it until it lasts, and then go back to living just as simply as they always did, and they're fine. Another can spend their entire life trying to build up their own idea of abundance, and in the meantime lose everything that should actually be precious to them in this endless pursuit of finding something better. Money comes and goes, right? So we need to hold it loosely, and that's kind of what I got out of this story. This story even kind of ends. The real heartbreaking thing happens at the end, but it ends with this guy having a sense of kind of having prevailed over that which was meant to destroy him, and it just really didn't sit with me the right way at all. I just see just a selfish jerk, right? Who's just willing to sacrifice everything that is sacred in order to pursue that which the world sees as important, but those who are truly precious could not care less about that potential gain. They just wanted to be happy, and they just wanted to be family. And so yeah, bitter much? Yes, I am. Kino had a good and perfect life. He should have left well enough alone. But that's The Pearl by John Steinbeck. 3 very reluctant stars. I don't even know why I gave him 3 stars. I hated that book. All right, next up. Yeah, you know, when I'm looking at this list, I just really didn't enjoy February, I'm telling you. I gotta get out of this slump. I'm a negative Nancy. All right. So, this is Confronting the Classics by Mary Beard. And gosh, this is where I'm starting to feel deja vu. Like, I feel like I have talked a really long time about this. Didn't I talk about this? I know where I talked about this in my Historathon video. Yep, I did. So you guys can check that out. I will not go into a lot of detail again because I really did actually talk for a really stinking long time in that video about this book. But just basically, this is a story. It's not a story. This is a nonfiction collection of Mary Beard's responses and critiques and criticisms of different people's writings, newspaper articles or things that she had, you know, conferences she had sat in on or whatever. And she's basically critiquing them, and they're all things that have to do with Greek and Roman history. I picked it up because I had joined Historathon and I wanted to be introduced to this period of history, the Greeks and Romans, because I know like nothing. And after finishing the book, I still kind of know like nothing because it wasn't what I thought it was. I thought it was going to give me this introduction to, you know, the basics. And instead it was kind of like her sort of dogging on all of her colleagues. I did not enjoy that. I gave that one 2 stars. You can look at the Historathon video if you want some more details on that. All right, next one, the Babylonians. I think I mentioned this in the Historathon video, but I hadn't actually started it yet. So this is by Gwendolyn Leake or Lake. This is basically a introduction to the Babylonians, and it was a good one. I felt like I came away with a lot of good basics. I love that there is an 8-page bibliography in this and 11 pages of notes and references. It makes me feel like this woman, if, you know, even if she doesn't have exact information correct, at least she really researched and tried, right? And I don't know, like I didn't find anything I disagreed with, but again, this is brand new to me. Mary Beard really needs to take a clue from this woman, because that was one of the things that bugged me about Confronting the Classics, is she had a lot of opinions, but she didn't have any, like, you know, resources to back that up. But this woman does. So there was quite a bit in here that I really liked. I learned several interesting things. One of the things was about ziggurats and how they were not made to go into like pyramids were. Instead, they were basically like an artificial mountain that allowed people to get up closer to God. That I had never really heard before, that they would, you know, build these just to be like, to get up closer to the gods. But it makes me think of the Tower of Babel, right? Then the whole idea of the kingship kind of passing through a city and not necessarily like a family line, I was able to sort of compare that biblically. I thought that was interesting. Another term, the Chaldeans or Chaldeans, that's a biblical term kind of for a group of people, but I always thought of them as being like an ethnicity, where they are, but this particular group were from a specific line of scribes and were specifically learned in magic and astrology. And that's where, if you are familiar with like the story of Daniel and his friends, and they kind of learned from these guys and learned about, I don't know, it's kind of like sorcery and stuff, and astrology, right? Different, you know, things. So that was interesting to me. But most interesting, I made several connections between things that I had seen people in, you know, the Bible do, and why they would have done them is because they had a lot of Babylonian influence. One of the things is in Matthew 15, where we have Yeshua admonishing the Pharisees for telling people that they have to eat, that they can't eat with unclean hands, right? That they have to wash their hands. And Yeshua's like, well, that's not actually in God's law anywhere. You guys just added that and made an extra. You can't go around telling people that this is God's law, because it's not. It's your law that you made up and added, right? And so, but I found that that probably came from the Babylonian influence, their custom of being very clean and purified before they ate. And so I think that, maybe Yeshua was also getting on them about the idea of taking on the requirements of other gods, that he wanted them only to take on the requirements of the one God, Yahweh, right? So I just really thought this was an interesting book. I've got it marked up really good. I learned a lot from it. I will probably come back to it as a reference. I'm glad that I read it. So that was the Babylonians, 3 stars. All right, now here is a 5-star. This was the best read that I had the whole month by far. An absolutely fantastic audio drama of the story of Moby Dick. I have been avoiding Moby Dick like my whole life because ever since high school AP English, and we were traumatized by the sheer boredom of Billy Budd Sailor, who is also a book written by Moby Dick. No, which is also a book written by Herman Melville. I just couldn't do another, I don't know. I love men, but I don't like stories about just men and the manly sort of things that they get up to. I want it to be sort of relevant to me. I don't like stories about the sea. I don't like adventures. I don't like animal stories. There's just never ever been anything about Moby Dick that has ever appealed to me, ever. And so I have always just avoided reading it. But my daughter told me about Libby, and that is like a app where you can check out books from your library. And I looked for an audiobook. I thought, okay, this will be a perfect time to listen to Moby Dick because I know that I'm going to hate its guts, and I have to drive around and do my errands. So I will listen to it while I'm doing my errands because I will be trapped in this vehicle with Moby Dick and have no other choice but to succumb to it. But it wasn't very long before I realized that this was a super abridged version. And my suspicions were confirmed when I went to Barnes & Noble to actually pick up the book, and it was over 700 pages. So it is a short, very shortened, abridged version, but it is done so well with... I've never listened to an audio drama before, I guess. It was just amazing. So many sound effects and different voices and just so much emotion, and you get the basic gist, and I was like, I want to read this book. It really made me want to read Moby Dick. And so I bought it, and I have it, and I will read it. I will. It is probably the most amazing thing that I have ever listened to. It's done by the BBC. There are so many just things that I want to ponder, and so I really want the paper version. Lots of biblical references. There's got to be a lot more to these characters, Queequeg and Ahab and Ishmael. And I have a note in here regarding Ishmael. Commentaries that I have read point to the reference of the biblical Ishmael as being an outcast, whatever. And I know that the story is full of biblical references, but I also think that the use of the name actually points to Daniel Defoe's use of it in Robinson Crusoe. In that story, a man is tossed overboard to fend for himself, and that guy's name is Ishmael. And so I kind of think that maybe it was actually referring to that, but maybe they're both referring to biblical Ishmael, who was an outcast too. I don't know. But anyway, loved this audio drama. It was so, so good. And you guys, that is it. That is it for my February wrap up. I hope this doesn't depress you too bad. It made me kind of depressed reading it. Back to you from my Goodreads. Like I said, now I am in the first fourth, I guess, of London by Peter Ackroyd. I think I am going to put that aside and at least read something small and different just for a change. And then I'll come back to it. I am enjoying it, but yeah, I think the pressure of trying to finish it is making me wigged out. I mean, I read way more than 800 pages in a month, so I don't know why I'm feeling so much pressure, but I just am. I think it's because I want to read more books, right? It's my whole quantity thing that I talked about the other day. So I just need to chill, but I will read something else and then come back to it. I am going actually to London in just a few weeks. My daughter and I, did I tell you guys about this? I can't remember, but we're going to England towards the middle of April. We'll be there for about 10 days. So we're super excited about that. And it's one of the reasons why I went to read the London book, because I love London, love reading about London, love the history of it. So yeah, anyway, hope everybody's having a good day. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.